This week we're going to highlight the historical price changes associated with the release of the USDA's Acreage and Grain Stocks reports on June 30th. Then we're going to take an updated look at crop conditions and weather here in the U.S. Then we're going to move to South America and look at harvest progress in Brazil and wrap things up with a long-term review of December corn futures. Hi, this is Brian Bastine with Advanced Trading. Let's talk about the corn market. We've moved into the end of June here, and this corn market is looking very weak at the moment. This week, we're going to start out looking at the historical price changes associated with the June 30th Acreage and Grain Stocks reports. Let's take a look at that history. Now again, this Acreage report and Grain Stocks reports, two separate reports, will come out on Monday, June 30th at 11 a.m. Central Time. What this slide shows is the change associated with July futures and December futures on the day that those reports are released. Notice over time we've seen some years where we've seen higher prices, some years where we've seen lower prices, and a few years we've seen unchanged. Here's the key message. With that potential existing for increased price volatility, we strongly encourage you to work closely with your trusted risk management advisor to have your positions in place prior to the release of the reports. Let's shift gears now and focus on crop conditions here in the U.S. We did see some deterioration this week. We're looking at 70% good to excellent nationwide, down 2 points from last week, slightly ahead of last year. You can see from this map the most deterioration was seen in the western corn belt, northern plains. We did see some improvement, however, in Illinois, Wisconsin, and the eastern corn belt. Let's now take a look at the history of the crop condition index. Notice the crop condition index has dropped a bit from what it was last week, but look at that history from late June through September. Quite a bit of room for volatility in that index. That reflects crop conditions. So again, avoid price prediction and manage price movement. Let's shift gears now and take a look at crop progress. Now we're into corn pollination. We're mostly in the southern U.S., of course, but we're looking here over the next 2 weeks. We're at 4% now. Over the next 2 weeks, approximately 12% of the U.S. corn crop will be pollinating. So by the 4th of July weekend, we may be approaching 15 to 20% of the U.S. corn crop in pollination. With that in mind, weather will become ever more critical. Let's take a look at the short-term trend. Our slides this week, as usual, are courtesy of T-storm weather. Starting out here looking at a changing pattern. Everything to the north and west of that orange area is going to cool down here this week. However, everything to the south and east, with basically shown in that orange, is going to be hot. 90s for highs, 70s for lows, all the way through Monday, Tuesday. Now let's look at rainfall patterns. We are looking at some rainfall here through Friday, Saturday of this week. Heaviest amounts in that pink area there, 1 1/4 to 2.5 inches. But plenty of green area, which means 1/2 inch to 1 inch, all across the Midwest here. So even though it's going to be a little bit hot, there is some rain on the way. What about looking forward to next week? Next week, from June 30th to July 4th, major pattern change is possible. Still looking at some hot temperatures up there in the northern plains, but as we move south and particularly east, we're closer to seasonable temperatures. Let's take a look at total precip now over the next 2 weeks. You can see from this map as corn begins pollination, really looks pretty good across the Midwest here. Slightly wet in many cases and close to normal in almost all the other areas. So again, that's been pressuring this corn market to new lows recently. Let's shift gears now and look at Brazil. Let's take a look at harvest progress. Again, as our corn crop approaches pollination, they are actually harvesting the double crop, safrinha corn in Brazil. They're about 10% done nationwide. Last year at this time, they were 28% done, so they're a bit behind. But here's the key message that we've highlighted. As harvest advances, exports are scheduled to begin late July and increase in August, September. USDA is pegging exports at 1.7 billion bushels this year compared to only 1.4 billion last year. Let's wrap things up this week looking at trends in December corn. December corn, as we tape here on Tuesday, is trading near $4.30 a bushel. Here's the key message though. Look at from that late June period all the way really into harvest. Potential for increased price volatility, both to the upside and to the downside. That's why it's critical to maintain contact with your trusted risk management advisor to manage market positions. Now, if you'd like more information, please feel free to contact us at 800-664-2321. We'll put you in contact with one of our risk management consultants who'd be happy to visit with you at your convenience. And remember, we upload every Wednesday. Make sure to subscribe to our channel to never miss an update. And make sure to join us at 1:30 p.m. on June 30th for a detailed market analysis of the USDA reports. Thanks a lot. Have a good week.